Striker Scorpion 82 is now sponsored by Warhammer Combat Cards, a card battle game featuring your favourite Citadel miniatures from the 40k universe. Build your army decks, dominate opponents in player versus player action, collect and upgrade cards to fit your strategy, improve their power and unlock unique traits. Choose from all 40k factions, take part in campaigns based on iconic 40k battles, rise to the top of the leaderboard and win glory. Free to download and play, link is in the video description below or on the channel homepage, and by using the unique link it helps support the channel. Thanks and enjoy the game. Right, welcome to this review video. It's for the new campaign book here for Warhammer 40,000, Warzone Charadon. It's they call it Act 1 here, it's the Book of Rust, and so you'll be seeing some extra rules that can be used for a number of factions in Warhammer 40,000. This will be as a full review of those rules, so we'll go through everything. There's lots of Warlord Traits, Relics and so on, unique to the factions talked about here in this book. I'll flick through all the pages as well, just to give you a full idea of the contents of this publication. You can check out gamingfigures.com. They are the sponsors here on the channel for Discount 40k, but a big thank you to Games Workshop for sending me a copy of this ahead of time. So the usual superb production, 9th edition books, excellently produced here by Games Workshop. Very, very nicely done indeed. Nice sort of wider format books, plenty of space for the artwork. So, just there's no sense of anything being rushed here at all, or anything being crammed in, or any cutting down the quality. This is all your background information, first warnings, tri-prong offensive. This is the Death Guard on the move here. It's the Adeptus Mechanicus, mostly, I think. There's a bookmark there, Heptus Clang. The gates besieged. Beautifully put together. And loads of background information. Loads and loads to read here. Typhus, host of the Destroyer Hive, so more information on him. Just detailing the battles, remission and resurgence. Loads of space for lore, you know, sort of storyline stuff going on here as well. More details of what's going on. Just looking at some of the artwork here, very nicely done. Metallica besieged, it's focusing on that Forge World. The Adeptus Mechanicus, Forces of the Imperium, it's giving you all the details here. Forces of Chaos, an Alliance of Iron and Flesh, invaders from the Empyrean. Then, so that's the background information, which makes up almost half of the book, pretty much half of the book. They have background, storyline and fluff, which is great. Then your campaign rules. So you've read the story, then want to play this, the missions based on this campaign. So Obelisk Invasion campaign, you can work your way through it. Perhaps you've got a Death Guard army, your friend's got Adeptus Mechanicus, for example, you can work your way through these unique missions. Irradiated Wasteland, Metallican Redoubt, Ascendancy of Entropy, Campaign Master's Edicts. All the detail and some unique missions. Route on Harim, Flood Tide on Fathom, Desperation and Despair. And then moving on to army rules. There's Crusade rules, which I don't really cover as much. I don't play Crusade myself, but I've heard it's good fun. But we'll be focusing on stuff that you can actually use in combination with your regular codexes for Warhammer 40,000 and use in your games of 40k. So the factions then, as Adeptus Mechanicus. So you've got an Army of Renown here, it's Mechanicus Defense Cohort. Then you have Codex Supplement, House Ravens, that's Imperial Knights. Codex Supplement, Metallica, that's Adeptus Mechanicus again. Army of Renown, Terminus Est Assault Force, Death Guard, Armies of Renown, Freeblade Lance, that's Imperial Knights again. And then it's interesting to see what kind of help they get here if you go for these options. And then Codex Supplement, Cult of Strife. There's Drukhari or Dark Elder involved in this as well. And that's going to link up with the brand new Codex that's just come along as well. So the idea is you have your Codex, and then mixed in with these campaign books as the storyline goes along, there'll be supplementary rules that you can use to create sort of unique combinations for the different factions. So for example, take Drukhari, you've got the regular book, the new book, and then you can take some supplementary stuff from this if you wish as well. So it's kind of bringing the regular 40k rules along with these campaigns as they go along. Games Workshop have done similar concepts to this before. Can't see a problem with it. You've just got a storybook, and the idea is to try and get these books out there, and so they're linking the rules in with it. There's Crusade stuff as well, and you've got unique missions, so it's a whole load of stuff bundled into one book. You don't have to get the book, I suppose, it's not a requirement, but if you fancy some of this stuff here, plus all the other content of the book, then you can take it as a supplement to your regular books. So the first one then, Mechanicus, we'll go through these in detail, the Stratagems, Warlord Traits and so on. There's some limitations and changes in structure if you are going to go for these unique Armies of Renown, as it's been called. I'll read this out here, what it says. An Army of Renown is a specialist force that has earned fame or infamy across the 41st millennium, the experience of which has given its warriors unique skills to use on the battlefield. It's just creating a unique sort of detachment or force. An Army of Renown is a variant army list for a particular faction in Warhammer 40,000 that is themed around a particular disposition of forces. Each imposes certain restrictions on what units can be included, but also grants access to a wider range of rules such as stratagems, relics, etc., to reflect that Army of Renown's unique methods of waging war in the 41st millennium. If you wish for your army to become an Army of Renown, it must first adhere to all the restrictions laid out for that Army of Renown. It must be battle forged, and it must not include any specialist detachments. You can then make a note in the Army Faction section of your Army roster of which Army of Renown your army is. Some or all of the units in an Army of Renown then gain the benefits listed, such as new keywords, abilities, stratagems, and so on. Note that your army does not automatically become an Army of Renown just because it happens to abide by the restrictions. You must choose for it to be an Army of Renown. Okay, and then the Crusade rules for Armies of Renown is how it impacts the Crusade system as well. So fine, this is no problem at all. I can't see any problems. This is a great idea to add further depth and lore-based rules, variations, and so on. Yeah, and for some people, they may just get the odd book here and there if they fancy going for some of these combinations. Now, to imagine so far, I'm just wondering, because in previous editions, Games Workshop released some supplementary stuff where you just had to get the books because there was amazing rules in there. I think Games Workshop will continue down the route of being quite sensible with their supplementary books. So these may not turn out to be like the must-have you can collect at your leisure and not have to get tons of these extra books if you're going to get the best combinations for the different factions. That's the impression I've got so far, but we'll see what's in there. I'm sure there's going to be some good stuff that may well make this book well worth getting for the different factions included. I guess the other thing is that you've got multiple factions in one book, so it's quite good value in that respect as well. So some background information on this Mechanicus defense cohort. So all units in your army must be Adeptus Mechanicus and be drawn from the same forged world, and your army cannot include Skitarii units. So it rules my stuff out. So benefits: all units in your army gain the Mechanicus defense cohort keyword. So this is like your cult Mechanicus stuff, breaches, and so on. You have access to the Mechanicus defense cohort Warlord Trait, Relic and Stratagems, Cacophonous Breaches, Destroyers, Servitors, Castle and Robot units in your army gain the Extremist Sentinel Protocols ability described below, which is the unit never gains a Forged World Dogma, but its inclusion in a detachment does not prevent other units in that detachment, excluding other units with this ability, from gaining a Dogma. The unit gains the Extremist Sentinel keyword Each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model in this unit, if that unit is either wholly within its controller's deployment zone, so because it's the defense cohort, you're defending the back line, or if every model in this unit is within range of an objective marker, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. That's pretty big. -1 damage. Each time an enemy unit declares a charge against this unit, if this unit is not within engagement range of any enemy units, it can either hold steady or set to defend. If it holds steady, then until the end of the phase, any Overwatch attacks made by models in that unit score hits on rolls of 5+ instead of 6s, a bit of a benefit there. If it's set to defend, it's +1 to the hit roll. And I'm guessing you can't fire Overwatch, but you get +1 to the hit roll. I'm guessing you can do that without having to be in cover and so on. I reckon something like that. So some pretty good bonuses there. Whether playing defensively though in 9th edition is a good idea. Depends, you could sit back and raise the banners and so on. And then the bonus is going to apply if you're sitting on objectives. If you are pushing out and claiming objectives, then you get the bonus as well. So yeah, it's pretty good so far. The Warlord trait then, if the Mechanicus defense cohort character model is your Warlord, he gets Cacophonous Leadership, which is an aura ability while a friendly Mechanicus cohort unit is within 6 inches of the Warlord. That unit has the objective secured ability. Extremely sentinel models in such units count as 1 additional model when determining control of an objective marker. The relic available is Forge Fire. Can't be given to vehicles. But the Forge Fire is it's model equipped with a Volkite blaster only, so that's your Tech Priest Dominus, I believe. It gets replaced with range 36, heavy 3, strength 6, -2, 2 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, a modified wound roll of a 6 inflicts a mortal wound. So a pretty tasty weapon that, especially with a 2+ ballistic skill. And then stratagems. Citation of Ruin. How sensible is this? Just a couple of extra stratagems there. Citation of Ruin. Uses stratagem in your shooting phase. Costs 2 or 3 command points when an extremist sentinel unit from your army is selected to shoot. Now this is probably going to be quite good. Until the end of the phase, models in that unit have the big guns never tire rule, in the same manner as if they're a vehicle model, so you can shoot at stuff that's in base contact. That's very, very good. In addition, they do not suffer the -1 penalty to the hit rolls incurred when making attacks with heavy weapons against units they're in engagement range with, as described in the big guns never tire rule. If the unit has 4 or more models, then it costs 3 CP instead of 2. So that's one that's well worth bearing in mind. You can just fire point blank whilst in close combat with that stratagem. Then pre-calibrated purge solution. 1 command point. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase. An extremist sentinel unit from your army. This wholly within your deployment zone is selected to shoot. At the end of that phase, each time model unit makes an attack against an enemy unit that is wholly within the enemy deployment zone, it's +1 to the hit roll. So firing from one end of the table to the other. Only 1 CP for that one. Bolster defences is 2 command points. Use a stratagem before the battle after determining deployment zones. Select 1 area terrain or obstacle feature within your deployment zone. That terrain feature gains the light cover terrain trait. If it already has light cover, add 2 to the saving throw instead of 1. Saving throw is unaffected, or invuln saves unaffected. You can only use a stratagem once. Again, just pretty good. +2 to the saving throw. And put your breaches behind a line of those and give them an exceptionally good armour save. Nice. Yeah, great. And then Rad Bombardment, 3 CP. Use this stratagem in your command phase. If a Mechanicus defense cohort warlord from your army is on the battlefield, select 1 point in the battlefield and place a marker on that point. At the start of the next command phase, roll 1d6 for each unit within 6 inches of the centre of the marker, subtracting 1 if it's a character. On a 4 to 5, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On 6+, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. And until the end of the turn, subtract 1 for the toughness characteristic of each model in that unit. This is not cumulative of any other rule that reduces the toughness, and the marker is then removed. You can only use this stratagem once, so not bad. So as hoped, not crazy stuff going on, just some decent upgrades fitting in well with the theme here for this Mechanicus defense cohort. So then we've got here Codex supplement Metallica. So Codex as Adeptus Mechanicus describes how most of the Adeptus Mechanicus units belong to a Forge World, and how you can use the Forge World keyword to specify where such unit is drawn from. The rules in the following section are for units that are drawn from Forge World Metallica. Now, does that mean some rules in this section refer to a Metallica detachment? This is one that only includes units with the Metallica keyword, so on and so on. Does this mean that these rules here will be in the new AdMech Codex? I don't know about that one, but we'll see when the book comes along whether all of this stuff is in the new book. But for now, you've got Metallica supplement here. So, Warlord Traits then. If Metallica character model gains a Warlord Trait, you can use the Metallica Traits table below. You can choose one or roll a d3. So, Master Annihilator. In your command phase, select one friendly Metallica unit that is within 6 inches of the Warlord. To the start of the next command phase, add 6 inches to the range characteristic and +1 strength of all radiant weapons models in the unit are equipped with. For the purposes of this rule, a radiant weapon is any weapon whose profile includes the word radium, radium pistol, radium carbine, etc., and any relic that replaces such a weapon. This is not punitive of any other rule. It increases the weapon's range. So, it's okay. That brilliant. Ash Runner. Add 3 inches move characteristic and 1 to the strength and attacks characteristic of the Warlord. Not usual for the AdMech to desire close combat for their HQs, but that's available. And then Radioactive Emanation. It's an aura. While a unit is within 6 inches of this Warlord, unless it is a metallic unit, subtract 1 from its toughness. This is not punitive of any other rule, so it's -1 toughness there. Again, don't know how often that'll be used. You'd need some kind of AdMech HQs that are happy to get stuck in close combat. There's not many. Tech Priest Armors is okay, but not really cut out for tougher targets in close combat. You've got relics here which become available. The Omni Sterilizer. So it's model equipped with Eradication Ray. It replaces that. It gives you Omni Sterilizer's range 24, assault D3, strength 6, -4 and 3 damage. And it's a blast weapon, so it's okay. Bionics of Veneration. The bearer has a 4+ invuln save. The bearer has the following ability. Bionics of Veneration. Aura. When an enemy unit is within 3 inches of the bearer, each time model that unit makes an attack, it's -1 to the hit roll. Just need to remember that rule during the game. The Delta Pistol. It replaces the Gamma Pistol. Range 18, pistol 1, strength 10, -4 and 4 damage. Nice relic. Each time an attacker has made this weapon against a vehicle unit, you can re-roll your wounds as well. So that's quite a nasty pistol, that one. That's quite a potent relic. The Metallican Lung. The bearer has the following ability. Metallican Lung aura. Whilst an enemy unit is in 3 inches of the bearer, each time an attack is made by a model in a friendly Metallica unit that targets that enemy unit, you can re-roll your wounds. So, alright, so Metallica have got their own stratagems here, a page of them, to fit in with the theme of that Forge World as well. If your army includes in Metallica detachments, then you get these stratagems here. Rad Oversaturation, 2 command points. Use the stratagem at the start of any phase. Select a Metallica Skitari Vanguard unit for your army. At the end of the phase, increase the range of the unit's rad saturation ability to 6 inches. Next, March to War, 1 command point. Use the stratagem movement phase when a metallic unit from your army advances. Do not make an advance roll, instead it's a guaranteed 6-inch move, which could be quite useful. Purity of the Machine, 1 command point or 2 command points. Use the stratagem in shooting phase when a metallic unit from your army selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when a metallic unit from your army selected to fight. To the end of that phase, each time model unit makes an attack, you can ignore any roll modifiers to the hit roll and wound roll. If the unit is a vehicle, the stratagem costs 2 CP instead of 1. And then Order of Anarchy, 1 command point. Use the stratagem in your command phase. Select one metallic unit from your army. At the end of the turn, each time an attack is made by model, add in that unit targets an enemy unit within 12. You can add 1 to the hit roll. Okay, it's all quite tame-ish, really. Nothing too scary going on. Extinction Order. Uh-oh. might see a bit of a change here. This is a 3 command point epic deed. Stratagem. Use this stratagem in shooting phase. Select one area terrain feature visible to your Metallica Warlord. At the end of that phase, each time attack is made by a model in a friendly Metallica unit that is within 6 inches of your Metallica Warlord that targets an enemy unit wholly within that terrain feature. Add 1 to the wound roll. That's it. Okay. And then Knight of the Iron Cog, 1 command point. Use your stratagem before the battle. When you're mustering your army, you can select one House Raven unit from your army. That unit gains the Canticles of the Omnissiah ability. That's useful. And is considered to have the Adeptus Mechanicus keyword for the purposes of this ability. The inclusion of this unit in your army does not prevent AdMech units in your army from using any rules that require every model in your army to have the AdMech keyword. So that's great. It's pre-game. Brilliant. Knight of the Cog. It's Omnissiah's Exaltation, 1 command point. Use this stratagem in the morale phase. An enemy unit is within 6 inches of a metallic unit from your army. It's selected to take a morale test. And to the end of the phase, subtract 1 for the combat attrition tests taken for the enemy units. That could come in handy, it's quite rare. And then Blaring Glory, 1 command point. Use this stratagem in the fight phase or in your opponent's shooting phase. Select one enemy unit is within 6 inches of a metallic unit from your army. At the end of the phase, your opponent cannot reroll any dice made for attacks made by models in that enemy unit. Again, that sounds quite useful. Always love this combination. The Imperial Knight combining with AdMech. It's the theme of my AdMech army. I hope for that to continue. Do love the Skitarii Ranger models. They're a brilliant kit. Okay, so moving on to Freeblade Lance here. Okay, so it's like an army of Freeblades basically. Lets you do it, gives you some buffs and bonuses. Which would be interesting, yeah? Any help for the Imperial Knights is greatly appreciated at this point. So the restrictions then, all units in your army must be Freeblades. They've got to be, the whole army has to. When determining which qualities and burdens each Freeblade Lance model in your army has, they cannot have a quality or burden that another Freeblade Lance model in your army has until all other qualities or burdens have been selected. You've got to work your way through them, can't stack them up. Benefits, all units in your army gain the Freeblade Lance keyword. You have access to the Warlord Traits, the quantities or qualities and burdens, and gain the character models gain Legendary Knight ability. So, Legendary Knight, +1 leadership characteristic to this model. How is that going to help? And then, when giving qualities and burdens to this model, you can use the following method instead of the method presented in Codex Imperial Knights. Select 2 from the quality table, select 1 from the burden table. Right, so it's just giving you a lean towards better options of that. And then remember that when determining qualities and burdens each Freeblade Lance model in your army has, they cannot have a quality or burden that another Freeblade Lance model in your army has until all other qualities or burdens have been selected, which is fair enough. So Warlord Traits then. Echoes from the past. This Warlord gains benefits from 1 household tradition, selected from those described in Codex Imperial Knights, even though they're a Freeblade. Write down this tradition in your roster. So that's pretty good, because some of those benefits are actually quite good. And then the Relic. If your army is led by a Freeblade Lance Warlord, you can, when mustering your army, give the following Heirloom of the Noble Houses relic to Freeblade Lance character model from your army, instead of one from another source. Named characters can't be given the relic. The relic note this relic replaces one of the existing items. Okay, so Bringer of Justice it's called. It replaces the Reaper Chainsword, which does need improving. Aha! Right, now this sounds good. So Bringer of Justice, before selecting target, select one of the profiles below to make attacks with. So you can go for Strike, which is double strength, AP -4 and 6 damage, and then Sweep, strength for the user, strength for the user, AP -3 and 2 damage. So that's that, and then it says here each time an attack is made with this weapon, Sweep profile, make 2 hits instead of 1. So just an improved version of that. I can't see how it's improved that much compared to the originals. Okay, so that's the Bringer of Justice. There's Stratagems. Brothers and sisters in burden, 1 command point. Use a stratagem at the start of your turn. Select one Freeblade Lance character model from your army. All friendly Freeblade Lance models within 6 inches. Do not have to test for any burdens they have this turn. I'm just holding it all together. Strength from exile, 1 or 2 command points. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. When a Freeblade model from your army is selected to shoot, go to the fight phase, and a Freeblade Lance model from your army is selected to fight till the end of the phase, whilst that model is within 12 inches of any other friendly models. Each time it makes an attack, reroll hit rolls of 1 and reroll wound rolls of 1. If that model is in a Castus class or Dominus class, it costs 2 CP instead of 1. So just rerolling your ones to hit and wound, which for Imperial Knights is helpful enough. Then Deeds of Legend, 1 command point. Use a stratagem in any phase, and a Freeblade Lance model from your army destroys an enemy vehicle, monster or character. Model gains 1 quality of your choice for the rest of the battle. It doesn't gain any burdens. This must be a quality that the model doesn't already have, and cannot be a quality that another Freeblade Lance, just the same working your way through them appropriately. And then Favoured Knight, 2 command points. Use this stratagem before the battle when you're mustering your army. Select one Freeblade Lance character model from your force that has 1 heirloom of the Noble House's relic. That model can have a 2nd heirloom of the Noble House's relic. This must be a relic they could have. Each relic in your army must be unique. You're going to use this stratagem once. Double relics stacking up. Nice. So then, logically, they've then done a Codex supplement for Imperial Knights, and it's rules for House Raven, which is, I believe, the one that I've painted up for my Mech, the sort of the red, black and silver colour scheme for the Imperial Knights. We've got some special rules now for that household. So, Warlord Traits then. Lord of the Trials. Each time attack is made by this Warlord, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 automatically wounds the target. Not bad. It just says each time an attack is made. So does that count as shooting as well? It's pretty good. It's actually very good. If it's shooting as well as melee, it's pretty good actually. Inviolate is the next one. Each time this Warlord would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. It's 4+, feel no pain against that. Blessed by Metallica. Add 2 to the Warlord's wounds characteristic. This Warlord can be repaired by Metallica Tech Priest units, as if they're a Metallica vehicle model. Nice, that could be a D3. Wounds being restored. So pretty good Warlord traits there. Relics then. Relentless Wrath. Add each a model equipped with rapid fire battle cannon only. This is the replacement. Range 72, assault 2d6, strength 8 -2, and 3 damage, and it's a blast weapon. Not bad at all. The Metallica Eye. Each time a ranged attack is made by the bearer, is allocated to a vehicle monster model. Improve the AP characteristic by 1, so that's okay. And Fury of the Keep replaces the thermal cannon. Right. And for this you'll get, it's a blast weapon. Range 36, assault d6 is still quite random. Strength 9 -5, and the damage of d6 +2. And then Spirit of Colossi. I'd swap mine out. I'd go for that one on mine because he's equipped with a thermal cannon. Spirit of Colossi. Each time the bearer is selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, 1 damage roll made by the bearer, and that each time it's to shoot or fight. Yeah, it's pretty good. And that's each turn. That one's a very good one as well. Yep. I used that on one of my Eldar characters, I believe, and it proved to be very useful. So the ability to get the rerolls consistently throughout the game. So those are actually quite, that's probably one of the better pages so far for House Raven. Nice. Now we're going to look for some supplementary or complementary stratagems. Hammer Blow, 1 of 3 command points. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when a House Raven model from your army that remains stationary this turn is selected to shoot. To the end of the turn, you can't charge. And each time that model makes a ranged attack with a weapon that has the blast ability, reroll a hit roll of 1 if the target contains 6 or more models. Reroll hit rolls of 1 if the target unit contains 6 or more models. When the unit was selected to shoot, you can reroll the attack's hit roll instead. So very, very good. If the model is in a Castus class or Dominus class, it costs 3 CP instead of 1. but pretty good. Add Honour Inviolate, 2 or 3 CP. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when a House Raven model from your army is selected to shoot until the end of the phase. If that model did not advance, add 1 to the strength characteristic of range weapons that model is equipped with. If the model is a Castus or Dominus, it's 3 CP instead of 2. Lockstep Advance, 1 or 3 CP. Use a stratagem when you select House Raven unit from your army to move in your movement phase. At the end of the turn, the unit's movement characteristic is halved, but each time that model shoots with a weapon that makes a random number of attacks, e.g. 2d6, when determine the number of attacks it makes that weapon, roll 1 additional dice and discard 1 of the dice. It's 3d6. For example, choose the best 2. So yeah, it's a bit of a help, and it's cost you 3 CP if it's Dominus class, quite expensive. Crimson Wall, use this stratagem in the fight phase when a melee attack is allocated to House Raven character model from your army. What? The saving throw is an auto 6. Do not roll. Not seen a stratagem like that before. When a melee attack could really save you at the right point, but Shadow's Reach, 2 CP. Use a stratagem at the start of movement phase of your opponent's movement phase. Select 1 House Raven model from your army, excluding Armiger class models. Until the end of the phase, enemy models are considered to be in engagement range of that model, whilst they are within 3 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically, instead of 1 inch, 5 inch. Okay. And then Colossi Eternal, 3 CP. Use a stratagem at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. Select 1 House Raven model from your army, excluding Armiger class models, and select 2 other House Raven models within 3 inches of that model. So you've got to pack tight here on this one. Until the end of the phase, whilst those 2 other models within 3 inches of the first model you selected, all 3 of those models gain a 4+ invuln save against ranged attacks. You only use this stratagem once. For example, turn 1, enemy shooting phase, and you deploy close together. Play that. Horrors at Bay, 1 command point. Use a stratagem in the fight phase and enemy unit with engagement range of a House Raven model from your army selected to fight. At the end of the phase, only the models in that unit with an engagement range of your House Raven model can make close combat attacks against it. Models in that unit are not engagement range with this model within half an inch, or model within half an inch will be unable to make close combat attacks against it, though they can still make close combat attacks against other eligible targets. And then Rolling Thunder, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your charge phase when a House Raven model from your army, excluding Armiger class models, ends a charge move. At the end of the turn, when an enemy model is within 3 inches of this House Raven model, each time that enemy model makes an attack, it's -1 to the hit roll. There it is, another fantastic setup there, with the Death Guard taking on Full Job Metallica and the Imperial Knights of House Raven. Brilliantly put together. Nice. Oh no, it's the Death Guard. Here, we'll see what they've got. So, a Terminus Est Assault Force. So, let's make interest down here. We'll see what the options are with this one. So the restrictions then, it's an Army of Renown. Restrictions are, your army cannot include any units with the vehicle keyword. One was quite big, so no vehicles allowed. Your army cannot include Mortarion. Oh dear. So I don't think Aaron's going to be interested in this one. All units in your army must be Death Guard, and if they are from a plague company, they must be drawn from the Harbingers. If your army includes Typhus, that model must be your Warlord. Right, so this is a Typhus themed list here. If Typhus is your Warlord, he gains the Harbinger of Death. Warlord trait in addition to any other Warlord traits he knows. So benefits then, it's quite strict this one. All units in your army gain the Terminus Est Assault Force keyword. If you have access to the Assault Force Relics, Stratagems and so on. Death Guard Psychers in your army can generate their psychic powers from the Festa Discipline on page 80. And then Terminus Est Assault Force units in your army gain the Outbreak Assault ability described below, which is when placing Terminus Est Assault Force units into strategic reserves, do not use the table in the 40K core book to determine how many command points it costs. Instead, the command points required to place those units into strategic reserves is shown below. So combined power rating of units, this modified table here, it's combined power rating been placed in strategic reserve 1 to 9. It costs 2 CP, 10 to 19 is 3, 20 to 29 is 4, 30 to 39 is 5, etc. etc. If a Terminus Est Assault Force Bubonic Astartes unit is placed into strategic reserve, then the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, instead of arriving from strategic reserves as described in the 40k book, you can set up the unit anywhere on the battlefield 1 9 inches away from enemy models, like a deep strike equivalent of that. So all that restriction just to get not too much, but we'll see what bonuses you get here. So the Warlord trait then, Harbinger of Death, it's an aura ability. While enemy models within leadership, when an enemy model with a leadership characteristic of 7 or less is within 3 inches of the Warlord, that model's unit cannot make use of the objective secured or any similar abilities, and that model's unit cannot perform any actions. In addition, while one or more enemy models within range of this aura, add 1 to the Warlord's attacks characteristics. It isn't like you go near him, so you're getting an extra attack. Stratagems, Rotting Tide, costs 2 or 3 CP. Use a stratagem in the reinforcement step of your movement phase. Select a Terminus Est Assault Force Poxwalkers unit from your army that is below half strength and remove it from the battlefield. Or select a Terminus Est Assault Force Poxwalkers unit from your army that has been destroyed. Set up the unit at its starting strength, hold within 6 inches of the battlefield edge, other than the enemy's battlefield edge, and more than 9 inches away from enemy models. You can only use a stratagem once. If the unit has a starting strength of 10 or fewer models, stratagem costs 2 CP, otherwise it's 3. But well worth it. Get a massive unit of Poxwalkers back. Fantastic. Yeah, great. Unleash the Horde next, 2 CP. Use the stratagem in your movement phase. When the Terminus Est Assault Force Poxwalkers unit from your army is selected to move, or in the fight phase when they are selected to fight. At the end of the turn, 3 inches to move characteristic of all Poxwalker models from your army, and each time those models pile in, they can move an additional 3 inches. Pestilential Drop, 2 CP. Use a stratagem in the reinforcement step of your movement phases when you're setting up a Terminus Est Assault Force unit from your army on the battlefield using the Outbreak Assault or Teleport Strike ability. Select one Contagion Nurgle ability that unit has until the end of the turn. The contagion range of that ability is 12 inches for that unit. This is not cumulative of any other abilities that increase contagion range. And then Callous Disregard, 2 CP. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase. Select on Bubonic Astartes Terminus Est Assault Force unit from army that is eligible to shoot. To the end of the turn, models in that unit can target enemy units within engagement range of friendly Poxwalkers or Plague Followers units from your army. Each time model unit makes an attack against an enemy unit within engagement range of friendly Poxwalkers or Plague Followers unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll, and if the hit roll was not successful, that attack scores a hit against the Poxwalkers instead. So it's quite sensible. If you are going to shoot into that combat, there's a chance of hitting your own models, which is fair enough. So, there's a bit to go here. You've got a page of relics, and you've got this new discipline here, the Festa discipline. So we'll run through these here. So, Gift of Infection, it's a malediction, it's a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. To the start of your next psychic phase, subtract 1 of the toughness characteristic of models in that unit. And it's not cumulative of any other effects. Lung Rot as a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. Till the next psychic phase, the unit can't advance. Each time the unit is selected to charge, any eligible units within 6 inches can be selected as the target of its charge. And each time a charge roll is made for the unit, cannot be re-rolled. And Pernicious Dose. It's a blessing. It's a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one friendly unit within 6 inches of this Psyker. To the start of your next psychic phase, each time one unit makes an attack with a plague weapon, you can re-roll the hit roll. Noxious Discharge is next. Witchfire. It's a warp charge value of 6. Select an enemy unit within 12 inches of the Psyker. Unit suffers a mortal wound. All units within 3 inches of that unit suffer a mortal wound, excluding Nurgle units. And then Rotwind. Rotwind has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker. To the start of your next psychic phase, Each time model unit makes an attack, reduce the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 2 to a minimum of AP 0. Not bad. And then accelerated entropy. Warp charge value of 7. Again here, if manifested, select one enemy model within 12 inches visible to the psyker. Both players roll a dice and add their unit's toughness characteristic. If your result is higher, the enemy model unit suffers 3 mortal wounds. If your result is double or more, then double your opponent's or more than double your opponent's. That enemy model's unit suffers D3 plus 3 mortal wounds instead. Onto relics. So, you know, obviously specific for the Terminus Est Assault Force. Keyword here. So, filth sensors. Psychic model only. Add 6 inches to the range of psychic powers manifested by the bearer. So, nice for smite. If a psychic power specifies 2 ranges, e.g. noxious discharge, add 6 to the first range specified in that psychic power. Mark of the Terminus Est. +1 to the bearer's strength. Each time an attack is made against the bearer, your opponent cannot reroll the wound roll. And once per battle, when a saving throw is failed for the bearer, you can use this ability. If you do that, saving throw is passed instead. Also pass. Again, is this something that we may see a bit more of? Sort of auto results. Vomix's Virulent Blight next. Model equipped with a plague weapon only. So during deployment, select one plague weapon the bearer is equipped with, and it gains the following ability. Each time the bearer shoots or fights or makes its attacks, or after making its attacks, select one enemy unit that lost any wounds as a result of an attack made with this weapon, then select one Contagion of Noble ability the bearer has. At the end of that battle, that enemy unit is always considered to be within contagion range of that ability. Canker next replaces the plasma pistol, and for that you'll get range 18, pistol 1, strength 9, -4 and 3 damage. Yep, and then Rot Grip. Model equipped with a power fist or plague claw. You're going to get ×3 strength. Wow, it's ×3 strength. AP -3 and 2 damage. Really good. There's no minus to hit rolls and it's a plague weapon. Brilliant relic. Reaper of Misery. Equips the Man Reaper. It gives you +2 strength, AP -3 and 1 damage. It's a plague weapon. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, it's make 2 hit rolls instead of 1. Raiment of Atrophy. For the purposes of determining the contagion range of this model's Contagion of Noble abilities, see Codex Death Guard. Treat the current battle round number as 1 higher than it actually is. This is not cumulative with any other rule that allows the bearer to treat the battle round higher than it is. So that's it for the Death Guard. This is some good relics for them. Moving over to the last faction here, it's the Drukhari. Just had the new Codex drop. Hope to review that soon. And then there's supplementary stuff for them as well. So Drukhari doing well here. Warlord Traits then. This is for the Cult of Strife. It's competitive edge. Each time the Warlord fights, if all of its attacks target one enemy unit, after resolving all of those attacks, it can make a number of additional attacks against that enemy unit equal to the number of attacks that did not reach the inflicted damage step of the attack sequence during that fight. Nice. Flurry of attacks. Especially good on the new Succubus stat line. Coming with a base number, I was looking through the book, a base number of 6 attacks as standard. Unparalleled agility. Each time an attack is made against the Warlord, it's -1 to the hit roll and wound roll. And Master Executioner, you can re-roll attacks. You can re-roll wound rolls for any kind of attack here. It just says make an attack, so I think that could be a shooting attack as well. So, not bad. And then Relics. Morvaine's Agonizer. So it's swapping out the Agonizer, it goes to AP -3, 1 damage. It's a poison weapon. 4+, each time the bearer fights, after its attacks have been resolved, select one enemy unit that was hit by an attack made with this weapon. You cannot select a vehicle monster. To the start of your next turn, the enemy unit cannot fall back. Nice. Garland of Spite. At the end of the fight phase, select one enemy model, excluding monsters or vehicles within engagement range of this model. To the end of the phase, halve that model's attack characteristic. Each time an attack is made by the bearer, that attack automatically hits the target. Oh, pretty good. Auto hits and halving the opponent's attacks. Oh, it's a good incentive to take on something that's bigger and tougher and more deadly than you, one of the nimble and small Drakari characters, but there's some great bonuses for Garland of Spite. Very interesting, that one. Glaive Exquisite, so this replaces the Archaic Glaive. It gives you +2 strength, AP -5 and 2 damage. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, targets an enemy unit with a leadership characteristic of 8 or more. Add 1 to that attack's wound roll. At the end of any phase in which the bearer fought with this weapon, if it did not target enemy units with a leadership characteristic of 8 or more, suffers a mortal wound. And then Dark Lotus Toxin. Add 1 to the strength and damage characteristic of all melee weapons the bearer is equipped with. And that's pretty good as well. So there's some good relics here for the Drakari. Stratagems for them next. So remember, it's got to be Cult of Strife though. You've got to build your army. Where's the restrictions? Okay. So you just got to go Cult of Strife, that's it. I can't see anything else here. I guess we'll cover it later on. No, it's Crusade rules. Okay. Stratagems then, Art of the Kill. 2 or 3 CP. Use your stratagem in the fight phase and Cult of Strife unit from army selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time model in the unit makes a melee attack, you can reroll the wind roll. If the unit has 11 or more models, this stratagem costs 3 CP, otherwise it's 2. So expensive enough, but it could help you out just at the right point in the game. Dance of Death, 1 command point. Use your stratagem in the movement phase when a Cult of Strife unit from army selected to move, or in your charge phase when a Cult of Strife unit from army selected to charge. At the end of that phase, each time a unit makes a normal move, advances fullbacks, or it makes a charge move. Until that move is finished, models in the unit can move horizontally through models and terrain features. You cannot finish a move on top of another model or its base. Invigorated by Evisceration, 1 CP. Use your stratagem after the unit is destroyed. As a result of a melee attack made by Cult of Strife infantry or biker unit from your army, to the start of your next turn, models in the unit have a 4+ infant save. Just temporarily though, but just for 1 turn. The Blade, well placed, 2 CP. Use your stratagem in the fight phase and a Cult of Strife infantry unit from your army selected to fight until the end of the phase. Each time a melee attack is made by model in unit, improve the arm penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. It's a bit of a help with that one. Deadly Exemplar, 1 CP. Use your stratagem in a Cult of Strife succubus from your army destroys an enemy character or monster unit with a melee attack. At the end of the battle, all Cult of Strife units from your army on the battlefield are considered to be within range of the succubus's Brides of Death or ability. So, okay. Flawless Approach, 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your charge phase and a Cult of Strife infantry unit from your army is selected to charge. At the end of the turn, enemy units cannot fire Overwatch to that unit. That's very, very helpful for 1 CP. Enemy unit selected as the target of that unit's charge cannot hold steady or set to defend as a result of the charge. Pick them apart, 2 CP. Use the stratagem in your movement phase. Select a Cult of Strife unit from your army. When a Cult of Strife unit from your army falls back, the unit is eligible to shoot and or charge this turn even though it fell back. Very, very useful. And then Hecatrix of the Crucible, 1 CP. Use your stratagem before the battle. Select 1 Cult of Strife Hecatrix model from your army. That model can have one of the following relics, even though they're not a character. Morvane's Agonizer, Dark Lotus Toxin, Garland of Spite. Each relic in your army must be unique, and you cannot use a stratagem to give a model 2 relics. Okay, use a stratagem once. Okay, and then you go on to your Crusade rules, like so. All part of the book. And Virulent gifts here as well, and that is the end of the book. So it looks like the shape of things to come. A Warzone Charadon look out for the future parts of that. But beautiful production, loads of space, about half the book given to the storyline. Then you've got unique missions, and then crusade rules, and then of interest to sort of regular 40k players. You've got these supplementary entries here for a number of factions that can then be used alongside your regular codex. So that's the review. Keep a look out for more reviews on the channel. Hope to have the Drakkari review live as soon as possible. Check out gamingfigures.com for Discount 40k. They're the channel sponsors here. And big thanks to Games Workshop for sending me this book ahead of time. That's the review. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.